Mosses that they're trying to develop hype for coming into the new season. So I don't think it's a coincidence that we had 4 games on NA Central all finish at Magic Mosses and 10 games out of 12 go north. By the way, I watched NA West after NA Central, and I think 4 of the 6 zones also went north. So if we want to go so far, I think pretty much 14 of 18 zones have gone north. Like, it's just getting ridiculous. And because of this obviously really affected how well teams could do. Now, this is what I hate about when zones do this. It's like what happened when Cooper Mero won LAN and we had a bunch of the zones finish there. Now it's going to make a bunch of people say that, oh, you know, this team doesn't deserve to win because they got lucky zones, or that team's doing poorly and it's only because of the zones. It's really hard to judge who's actually doing well, but that's just how battle royales go. Unfortunately, zone luck and, like, you know, RNG on spawn is just part of it. It just sucks when it's this bad because you have to talk about it. And people are saying it's making the grand finals a little bit boring. I disagree. The grand finals was boring. I think it was super exciting, especially the finish on NA. I'll talk about it in a second. But when you've got fan favorite teams like Mr. Savage, like Canada, like Acorn's teams all dropping on the south of the map, it really does just feel like they had almost no chance at a proper grands, at least so far. It's only day 1 of 2, but I know I had to at least talk about the zones because everyone's been talking about them and they do look kind of ridiculous. Now, let's look at how FNCS actually went. Again, it's worth pointing out there is no multiplier coming into day 2, unfortunately. So there is no 1.5 times multiplier. If there's a team you're cheering for who got bad luck on day 1 or didn't do as well, they can still bring it back on day 2. We're only 50% of the way through, but there is no multiplier anymore. So let's kick off talking about NA. Now, we have first place, no surprise, but Ritual Cold Peterbot first on 462, but we actually had Clicks, who is now in second, first place until the very last game. Clicks is now in second on 411, and we saw Peterbot make a very aggressive play that's upset a lot of people. I thought it was insane, but we actually had Peter and Cold give the medallion to Ritual to make it look like Peter wasn't anywhere near them because everyone's used to Peterbot holding the medallion. This kind of put Batman Booger into a false sense of security because there was no medallion near him. Peterbot snuck up on him with Cold, jumped on him, took down Batman Booger. Clicks tried to help him, couldn't get there in time. Clicks had to run away while Yomzo hid. Then they found Clicks, took Clicks down. Then Yomzo managed to get out, go to Crime City and buy the reboot cards back, got them back in the game. Then Peterbot found them over near Foxy Floodgate and took them down, causing Clicks to have a 0-point game. And then Peterbot's team went on to get a 13 Elam 6th, which was a very big point game, to overtake them. It was a huge point swing on the leaderboard. It's upset a lot of people, but the logic I always go back to, again, I love Clicks, I love Peterbot, I just want to see exciting Fortnite, and I always go back to the same logic. I don't call it a grief. If it negatively impacts another team, but it positively impacts your game, I don't call that a grief. But if you're trying to negatively impact another player's game and it negatively impacts yours, let's say, like, you know, a team in last place landing on first place, holding them in zone, they're not trying to win the tournament or increase their points or make money. They're just trying to grief someone. Peterbot taking down the team that's above him on the leaderboard, making him have a 0-point game and then jump above him. That's just good gameplay. It's obviously going to upset the Clicks fans. I get it. I know. But now if Clicks wins this FNCS, we can truly say that Clicks earned it. Pete is taking the fight to him. And now coming into day 2, I would love to see Clicks take the pain to Peterbot. If Clicks starts pushing Peterbot and taking some aggressive mid-game fights and they win it, it is going to make this Grands even more exciting. So I know if you're a Clicks fan, it was hard to watch. But again, I think it's just good gameplay from Peterbot. But a lot of people are saying maybe Peterbot showed his hand too early. You know, doing it in game 6 rather than game 11 or game 12 could mean the Clicks can now retaliate. So I'm excited to see how that plays out. We have 2 of the biggest teams on the region going at it right now, absolutely dominating. And there is a pretty big gap between Clicks and the 3rd place team, Visuals, Braids, and Aminish. Now, Visuals, Braids, and Aminish actually won the last game of the day, the first South Zone we got, and they got an 8 Elam win. But right now, as far as the big names go, it is Clicks versus Peterbot. Now, remember, top 3 teams are going to make land, except for the teams that already have a land spot. So if Peter and hopefully Acorn can jump up in there, it will roll down to top 5. But right now, Clicks is looking very, very good for that land spot. They're playing excellent. Again, people pointing out Clicks' team did get a lot of favorable zones. They dropped Lone Wolf Lair. Magic Moss is right next door, but they still played really, really good Fortnite. It was the different kind of Fortnite I talked about. They're not going into the black market almost any of their games. They're just basing up on top of Lone Wolf, getting their surge tags, and then rotating over. On the topic of surge tags and surge trading, apparently it is just a strategy in Fortnite now. We don't even need to pretend it's happening because the Fortnite broadcast did an entire segment on surge trading. They talked about building large bases on top of your POIs, taking the extra meds out of your base, putting them on top of the base, and then dealing damage to other players and trying to get them to get tags on you by making them OP. Like, my mind is just blown this point. I guess if there's any thought that maybe Fortnite would at this point, the only way they're going to be able to fix this is by reworking storm surge. Because if we're talking about it and you know, it's a strategy, Fortnite is clearly okay. It's an effective strategy, so pros are obviously going to abuse it, so it's just the norm now. The only way I guess Fortnite's ever going to be able to action it now is if they can prove that a player actually colluded by DMing another player. Like, hey man, set up on the mountain, second zone, I'll take shots to you. Unless we're doing that, if we're just doing the normal trading that most pros do, where they just build up and look for players around them because they know where they're going to be, apparently that's fair game now. So Clix's team definitely utilizing that strategy on top of Lone Wolf, but so are all the other top teams on the leaderboard. We have Visuals, Braids, and Minished in third, like I said. Reed, Cooper, and Curly in fourth. They're loving the zones out of Flooded Frogs right now on 363, but it is worth pointing out they had a phenomenal game 6 when the zones pulled south as well at 8, Eel, and 5th. So I'm really hoping if we do start to get some more south zones, Reed, Cooper, and Curly can hold on to their dominance. Rapid, Booga, and Threads finishing inside the top 5 as well. Their last game, unfortunately their worst game, but they're still in the running for land right now. Muzz, Yapko, and Rise getting surprise contested on the first game of the day, but bringing it back, still doing well that game, and then going on to have a really, really good finish, getting a second, first, and second from their last, from second game 3, 4, and 5. Really, really well. We had Ages, Acorn, and Poyo. Now, the team that a lot of people had picked to be, you know, first or second, I had them picked in second. Again, Master Meadows is a pretty long rotate to Magic Monsters. I did still expect to see them play a little bit better despite all the North zones. It is worth pointing out they got a 3 Elam 7th in their last game, but they did get a 12 Elam 3rd in their second last game. So as the day went on, as they played more and more North zones, it seems like they figured out how they're going to play it. We then had Cicada, Bolt, and Sphinx finishing in 9th. Get there. They were Elam 7th in their last game. So again, hopeful height. It's absolute second in the one good zone they got. And we can point out really good stuff up without RNG. All happened in the last game, by the way. So I got boom, Pax is taken out 2 days before Grands. Only team to not play with Mythic Mask day 1 in all regions. That's the dojo and he didn't get the Mythic Mask. And now this event is tough to make everyone it might be why it's blowing up next season. Who did I upset? And honestly, that really sums up where Kanata is at right now. My man is getting pretty unlucky, but 9th place is still not terrible. He can bring it back. Like I said, one south zone. They still Ishu and Bert. And by the way, Taki and Ishu, this is their first ever grand finals in 8th place. They're doing extremely well. Rounding out the top 10, Shadow Curve and Tyler. You can notice this is a lot of teams like 15, but again, on the we've got a 5 Elam 3rd. So I don't want to kind of go on the zones too much. It sucks. Very close back. We have a lot of really big teams who perform seasons on season doing poorly with other teams in a similar situation. So Fortnite, I know what's going on. Hopefully it's just bad luck to hopefully get normal zones on things. There's so much more fun to watch. Not just, you know, I just felt like the whole of NA's endgame just blurred together in my brain because it was just magic monsters and magic monsters. Water zones would be so much more fun to watch. Moving on over to EU. Grand finals. Kick off before we talk about leaderboard. We're going to talk about whatever was happening. Meadows was supposed to be contesting, but obviously at Last Meadows. I talked about how Vico was like doing the whole like, oh man, Grand is over, we're gonna done. Like it is what it is, we'll do our best, but it's not looking good. Vico never talks like that, and I got suspicious. And it turns out it was a fake. Vico was trying to fake everyone out there, had no intention of going to Last Meadows. I think they dropped 4 different locations. And they dropped Pump Tower 2 of the games. I think they dropped south of Outlaw 2 of the games. One game they went with War, and then one game they feed into Seaport. Like, Venom was making no friends. They were lurking in the Crime City Vault. They were lurking in the Seaport Vault. They were taking scrappy fights. Why is he not just... very, very clear. So I like Venom pulling out this strategy. A lot of times we see, you know, pros locked into these offshore situations. We always talk about like, well, apparently you can all three you have to be phenomenal. You don't have to worry about whether you off, but 6 players right now playing the way they are is phenomenal, especially considering their last game they went down on spawn in 33rd. They were in that last made EU Grand so fun to watch. Every early mid game, Venom was going to pop up. Like I said, they fought Taste and Venom's ex-teammates, they fought Queasy, they fought so many different teams. Struggling now, they're doing a lot worse than what a lot of people expected, myself included. But again, hard to kind of manage when you are getting contested by such good teams. But top of the leaderboard, we have a pretty large lead right now, a very solid lead. King, Wox, and Malibuka out of Lone Wolf Lair. They were really good at the start of the season, went a little bit quiet. A lot of people confused why I was in my second page. But they are doing amazing. 432 points, 6 winning one. Point lead. Each Elam is worth 4 points though, and a win is 65. So they can still bring it back. Lead going into day 2. We have Vanya, Pixie, and Maris, who are in second place right now. Again, 2 North teams right now doing very, very well on 313. They won 2 of the 6 matches they played. Vanya's team looked less and at 20th, but those 2 wins and a 3rd place, one of the wins being a 14 Elam win, is really putting them up there on the leaderboard right now. Huge shout out to Chino, obviously 3rd place from Mars Meadows, so opposite side of the map to all these North zones, and again, they locked down Mars Meadows. They held it down. They deserve the job. They're now locked in potentially for a land spot as long as they keep this up. And so it's great to see what was going to be just a full 50-50 where most people had, Phronoxy and Veno both picked too terrible. They now have them in 5th and 6th place. Easy and Mustache. Wait, Veno forced second place. Maybe they'll be more aware of it this time. They clearly had no idea Venom was making that play on them. More damage with the drum gun than any other player in the world. Their gun more damage with the drum gun. Playing phenomenally well right now, doing what Thomas does. We had Vico, Venom, Flixie in 6th, like I said. Then we had again. Seni, Hari, and Kami out of Brewer Boxcars in 8th. iDrop, Sky, and Scroll in 9th. They started really strong, but again, seems to be a story with iDrop's team. They start strong, and they finish slow. I really hope they break that curse with day 2, and they have a really good day 2 and skyrocket up the leaderboard. Right now, struggling a little bit, and in 10th place, we have Giras. Now, again, no mention of Mr. Savage. It was a rough day. They're in 18th place right now. They are contested on the mountain, but they managed to win the first 3 games of spawn on the mountain, making Twice team lead. Twice team is now dropping off Pump Power. They were on 0 points. And now down the damage over Pump Power, taking a bit of Savage good. Savage gonna pop off. Not really. They still have the team taking a lot of their moves south. Zone pulling far north is just ruining them. It takes so long to move. They have to fight the teams to their south if they want any of the good loot, but if they do that, that takes even longer time, and then they're just running the simulator north. They're getting some south zones. Savage with deal and rezone is definitely bringing back as well. Landfall is going to be pretty crazy, but Savage stream, the vibe have a terrible day, and so just learn in a lot of teams. There's so much trading going on. More impossible to try to get there, and then once you get there, you're 500 below, even with 3 or 4. Definitely get that frustration. We'll see if they can bring it back and hopefully do something big on day 2. In other competitive news, we had some big wall signings. We had Vaxi joining Exit and Content Creators. So Exit has now signed Batman, Booger, and Vaxi in the last 7 days. Blix did promise he had 2 big signings, and he's definitely lived up to the hype. And then we had Chronic back. I don't know if Chronic is still kind of around like that, making some big signings. Chronic has now signed Rapid, Donnie, Aminished, Barker, Polus, and 20. And apparently, in 20's announcement, they mentioned that he was one of 20 signings they're going to be announcing. So Chronic is coming back with big signings. Now, I don't really know exactly how it works these days. No, back in the day, it was more kind of like a friend group and a clan where it kind of built up all your reputation. You would stay in the hall, rabbit, and then you sign to another org, you would join that. So I don't know if they're now like kind of positioning themselves as more of a standard org. They're going to make content, maybe bring on sponsors and stuff, but they're getting a lot of hype by signing some really big names, and anyone who's willing to support players in the scene, I'm happy about. Chronic's been around for a long time now, really good reputation, so it's cool to see them making big moves again.
Hello, Officer Faye, Edgewater Police Service. Nice to talk to you. We're 59 and a 45. Do you have your registration and insurance with you?
I don't know what it is.
Pardon me? That one's expired as of September.
I don't know.
Pardon me? Okay, well, the requirement is that you provide, and I'm giving you an opportunity to do so. So if you want to refuse to give me one, that's okay, but I'm giving you the opportunity.
Why are you being a jerk? I haven't.
I'm not. You are. You've stated 3 times, I don't know, sarcastically,
I really
okay?
don't know.
I requested something that you're required to give me, okay? And I'm giving you the opportunity to give you
I am not being sarcastic with you. I have been nice to you.
What I'm trying to explain to you is I'm giving the opportunity to look for it.
Oh my gosh, you're the first one who's asked me for this. What's your name?
My name's Officer Fager with the Edgewater Police Department.
Spell your name for me.
It'll be on the bottom of the citation.
You're an asshole.
Do you have your insurance, ma'am?
Yes, on my phone. You want that too?
Yes, ma'am.
Who's your supervisor?
My direct supervisor today is Officer Ugarte.
No, who's your direct supervisor, period?
Pardon me?
Who's your direct supervisor?
Sergeant Anthony Benz.
What's his phone number?
Ma'am, would you please provide me your proof of insurance,
What's
please?
his phone number?
Will you provide me with your proof of insurance, please?
What's his phone number? How hard was that?
Pardon me?
How hard was that? Not
There's
hard
no
at
need
all.
to use vulgar language,
But
ma'am.
you don't have to be such an asshole, do you?
Since when was I don't recall
You've
any
been an
time. I've
asshole
been
the whole
professional the
time.
entire
No, you
time. It's
have
called
not.
professionalism.
You have... Wow.
All you have to do is provide me your registration and insurance and we can avoid any issues.
And I have told you... Oh my God.
Why are you calling 911? Hang up or you're going to go to jail for misuse of 911.
I'm not misusing
Hang up or you're going to go to jail for misuse of 911. Are you failing to provide your proof of insurance?
No, I'm not. I want another officer.
For what reason? There's no reason for you to do that. If you're failing to provide, I'm going to give you one more opportunity to provide the insurance. You're going to receive a citation for it.
County.
Yes, I have a cop that has me pulled over. He's being a major jerk. Is there a way I can get another cop? He's threatening to take me to jail because I can't find my registration.
No, ma'am. I said I was going to take you to jail if you misuse 911.
Ma'am, I cannot call the cops on an officer. I'll have the sergeant call you.
Can you have somebody, can you? Because he's...
Yes.
I haven't done anything. I have been extremely nice to
You
this
were
guy.
speeding.
Yes.
I told him that I couldn't find my registration. He said that he was giving me a chance to give it to me, or else I was going to be in trouble. Then he said he was going to take me to jail.
Just so you're
because
aware, all
I
that's on
can't
camera and
find-
none of that happened.
I understand.
Oh,
Ma'am,
yes, it
ma'am,
is.
ma'am, I understand. Are you in agreement?
Huh.